Great.
Good.
Good. Nacho, get going.
All right. Well, let's just get it rolling. I'll just let people in as we come in. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
We're doing
Great.
good.
Yeah.
Cool. Any news, I guess, since last time we got together? Any wins or anything positive? So much
Nope.
going on, huh?
Well, I met with that friend I was telling you about that wants to maybe move to Eugene, Oregon.
Cool.
I met with her yesterday, but then she ended up inviting a friend because we went to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really get too far with that.
Well, at least you met face to face, so that's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
My goal was to talk to her about it, but then,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm trying, Brandon.
Sounds good. Any other wins for the week?
I ran an 8:58-minute mile.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I know. I was very excited.
Getting on it, right?
My lungs hurt now, but it was worth it.
You been good, Anthony?
Yeah. Relaxing. I had surgery last week.
Oh,
Cool.
what'd you have?
I got fixed.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be quiet today, so it's all good, man.
I'm surprised you're here. Wow.
Right?
That's fine. I can just sit around.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's just get rolling. So what I had planned for today was to go over the listing presentation. Wanted to see if anybody had any questions before we went into it. We started it a couple weeks ago, did the pre-qual. Do you guys, were you all on it for the video, the Mike Ferry video? We were watching them do the
I
pre-qualification
was,
part?
yeah. I remember that
I
one. That was a
recall
good one.
Okay. Well, we stopped it right when the presentation was going to start. So we got a start to it. This is the actual presentation. Let me see if it's easier if it comes up on my computer, because then I can just share the screen. But of course, when you want it to come through, it doesn't come through. Yeah, it's still just buffering on here. So I may have to, I'm going to try to see if I can do a share screen off my phone on the MacBook. I know it's supposed to, doesn't always work, but if I can do that, we can get that rolling. I'm sure this is working fine.
Good morning.
David Banner.
Good morning, Leslie.
It's the hub.
All right, let's see.
Well, listen, she's a little sensitive. Last time we had a house on the market.
Yep.
All right, so just sharing with everybody, we were going to listen to the listing presentation. I emailed everybody the scripts, and it's just straight off mikeferry.com. That shows the listing presentation. Starts off on the top, says 1 minute presentation. Then it has like 3 questions. And if you already know them and you know they want to list with you and you know they're serious about getting the process started, that's the 1 minute presentation. 95% of them are going to be where you have to go through the whole presentation. So you go through the rest of the script. So you should all have that in email. I also sent the plan of action script, which I've never used. And when I went through it, I like some of the questions, don't like all of the questions, but go through it and you should come up with your plan of action. So when you take a listing, what are you going to do to sell a home and start working that out? And finally, the last one is the objection handler. And there's 40 of them. Okay, we got Laura coming in here too. All right, so I believe this is most of the group that we're going to have here today. So I know Danny said he had 2 UPS Zoom meetings he had to hop on. So yeah, but just thank you guys all for hopping on, and you know, we'll definitely try to make the most. Actually, Dusty, I don't see him on here yet, so hopefully he's getting on. But we're going to record this so that you know we can watch it at a later date as well. I guess before I just jump into it, because I always like to just, you know, instead of just sitting in front of a video for 20 minutes and analyzing it, any challenges, I guess, that we're seeing in the market right now, or any updates? Does anybody know what's going on with the market right now? Any changes in the last week in particular? Good morning, Laura.
Morning.
Thanks for joining.
I mean, I know what you told me.
Well, what did I tell you, Yvette?
That like, I think it was like 19 listings came on over the weekend in Camarillo.
Mhm.
So, and then I forgot where else you looked, but there was just a large surplus of listings over the weekend.
Right. Yeah, no, that's probably the most relevant update. So I just pulled a real quick search just to see active listings, and all of Camarillo, there were 41 active listings. Put that in perspective, what would you say is pretty common, Laura, for Camarillo for the total of active listings? Just a rough number, ballpark.
What is pretty common for that?
Yeah, pretty
Does-
common, just in active, just historically.
Springtime?
No, I'm just saying, like, how many active listings would you say is like common? You know, because 41 is still pretty low. in
It's
terms of
very low.
total. Right.
Right. I would say, you mean like historically, what's been the
Right.
usual? I would say at least 100, I would assume,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I recall is ballpark 100, 120. It's pretty common. We're at 41 active and 21 new listings within the last 3 days. So it was even lower than that. It was half of that. And in the last 3 days, 21 new ones popped on. Then I pulled up Ventura. Ventura was about the same. Ventura was 50 active listings, 19 new listings, 9 coming soons. I didn't pull up the coming soons for Camarillo. But what's starting to happen, and this is the biggest objection to overcome, in my opinion, right now, is people don't list, even though it's a hot time to list. They all have their excuses or the reasons of why they don't want to put their house on the market right now. Sometimes it can be, I mean, what are some reasons that you think that somebody may not list right now, even though it's an ideal time? What are some of the common excuses you would expect to hear?
They can't find a replacement house.
Can't find a replacement. That's a big one, right? There's not enough inventory, so can't find replacement. What else is there?
COVID.
What's that, Anthony?
Are people still using COVID as an excuse?
Yes. they
Yeah,
are.
COVID's still an excuse. No, it's a concern. So that's still a major concern, actually.
Yeah.
But it seems to be getting better with the confidence and being comfortable with that. But that is a big one. Any other ones?
Kids are still in school or
Yep.
supposed to be. Yeah.
Right. Kids
They
are
wait
still,
until, I mean, they wait till summertime.
still in school. Any other, and these are all objections. And that's what the email that I sent out with the objection handlers, you're going to see a lot of these on there as well. Very similar. It's the same 40 objections that have come up over the last 40, 50 years. It's the same reason not to do something now. Sometimes it's a condition, meaning they truly have to wait until a specific thing happens. Other times it's just an excuse to not do it right now. Another big one is I want to fix our flooring. I want to fix certain things before I put it on the market. Okay. That's a big one. So real quickly, just to share a quick story, and this is it was my dad's experience actually. He had a listing, it was about February timeframe. This was last year, I want to say. Had the listing February, complete fixer-upper, hit the market. I want to say it was around 560 at the time, a detached house in Camarillo, needed a lot of work. And as soon as it hit the market, went into escrow pretty quickly. They had like floors that were warping because of the dog's stuff, you know, urine or whatever, warping the floors. I mean, you can already imagine this place needed some work. Well, somebody calls on that sign and is interested in selling their house. They're on the corner of Temple. So it was the Temple listing that my dad had last year. And my dad goes out and sees it and was quoted by another pretty big agent here in Camarillo that they should list it at 525 because of the location being on a busy street. My dad knew he had just sold his property. It wasn't closed yet, but at 560 had no issue and knew that this house was in superior condition. So right then and there, if he lists the home, he knows he can get it around definitely higher than the 525 that was quoted, but probably closer to 560 if they list right then and there in February with no competition, low inventory. Well, what happens is sister chirps in her ear and says, you know what, you really need to get rid of that back patio cover and fix it. And you need to do that before you put it on the market. And so they're adamant about it. The sister's adamant that they need to do this in order to get top dollar for the house. Mind you, it's on Temple. Temple's a busy street. And it's right on the corner there of Temple and I think it was Landon. So it's a bad location when you have competition. Right now, you don't have that competition. So if you have a property that has those drawbacks, because there's no competition, you're going to have more desire and have a higher likelihood of getting top dollar. So long story short, they follow the sister's plan. Wait the 2-3 months. In the meantime, other properties come on the market. Now it's got some competition. So now the house ends up selling at about 540. That extra money that they spent on putting that back patio on cost them at least minimum $20,000 minimum. So the challenge that we have is we're going to have people that mean well, that are going to talk to our clients or prospects and tell them that they need to do this and they need to do that, or when I sold a home, this was important, or whatever. We're in a completely different market now. They're talking to us for a reason as the professionals, but they think that they can do it themselves. Once they start understanding how complicated it is, and that's our job as agents, to really explain to them and do a good job of showing them that, you know, you really don't want to try to do this on your own, that there's a lot that you're not even aware of because this is what we do on a regular basis. So you want to practice that. And if you're doing the role playing, and I know a few of you are doing role playing, practice that objection. That's probably the most important one right now, because if you're good as an agent and as a leader, and I'll be the first to admit, I've had a few opportunities and the sellers are not, they're not budging. I'm working with them as hard as I can to try to get them to list ASAP. And unless they're extremely motivated, they are going on the side of caution of waiting. At least that's been my experience. So I know that even though I've practiced this and I feel I'm pretty persuasive, I still got to go back to the drawing board and work on it and be better. I got to practice this and be better and be more convincing because they're not following my lead. And if you want to be really good at this, you have to be able to get people to cut off their procrastination or their hesitation of going the right way, which is listing with you and putting it on the open market, on the MLS, to generate the most activity possible. There was a question that came up from an agent last year, and she came to me and she was like, how do these top agents do so much business right now and have so many listings coming to them? So you guys are getting an echo?
Yes.
Okay, so it's probably somebody needs to be muted then.
Should we all mute?
I hate doing this because I like to have the interaction. Yeah, we'll just mute.
Well, we can unmute when we want to talk. Like if you
Okay,
wanna-
yeah, let's just unmute yourself or raise your hand so that I shut up, and then you guys can, contribute something that you want to come in. So basically, this agent's question was, how do some agents who do a lot of business have so much business that's happening right now when I'm struggling to get somebody to list? And the point blank answer I had to her was, you have to get better at showing your value, number one, but number two, showing the reason why it's in their best interest to get their house on now. And if you're very good at that compelling argument or persuasion or whatever you want to call it, and you're good at that, then people will follow your lead and trust you right now. And there's ways of handling it, and it's very difficult. But the biggest thing that I say on a regular basis is, we can tell what's happening now. We can tell what's been happening up until now. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen in the future. So when you leave things up for the future, what can happen in the interim? Other properties can come on the market. They can be priced much more competitive. And when that starts happening, buyers now have choices, and they start not believing your house is worth as much as you want for it. So we can't control that factor the longer that you wait. So we have to find a way to convince our clients, our prospects, that we're looking out for their best interest, and their best thing they can do is list their house now. So I just want to emphasize that, because to me, that's the most important conversation that you can have with people. Whether you're meeting with a friend at for coffee or for a drink, whether you're talking to everybody is thinking about moving. Everybody is thinking about getting out of state. Everybody is thinking about, is this where I want to stay? The cost of living so high, my job's been impacted. I don't like what's happening with schools right now. I don't like the fact that my kids are out of schools. I don't know of anybody that's 100% happy and content of exactly where they're at this point in time. And that creates an opportunity for all of us. So we have to see that, and we have to be brave and courageous enough to have those conversations. And the more that you do it, the more success you're going to see. And the more that you practice it, the better off you're going to be. We don't want to practice with our prospects and with our clients. We want to practice in this type of forum, as well as with each person individually. So sound good? All right, guys. All right, this is weird with everybody muted. That sucks about the echo. I don't have it on my phone yet either, so I'm gonna try to play it off of here. This is the actual presentation. Let me try one more time, see if it's on my computer yet. Still buffering. Okay. Well, let's do it real quick. Let's try to unmute everybody real fast. And I just want to see, do you guys rather listen to the listing video presentation similar to the prequel from before? Or do you want me to go into some brevity? Because I know there were some questions on brevity as well. You guys
How
can
long,
text.
Brendan, how long is the video?
The video is 20 minutes.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
open for either one.
Yeah.
It's the presentation. I heard, at least from the last time we did the prequel, that it was helpful to see somebody who is pretty well versed on these scripts and knows how to go through it in a very natural way. So it's good to do. I just hope it comes out, because it's kind of nice to be able to see it, but you'll definitely be able to hear it. So I'll play it, and then we can try to go from there. Do you want to give the video a shot? Okay, let's go into it. And then on our future, we'll do the brevity. Just so that you guys are aware of what we're doing with that. All right, let's see how this
It
works.
was on the market for like only 6 months. I have.
Hi, David. Thanks again for having me over. I'm really excited to help you guys get your home sold and get you off to San Diego.
Great. Okay. Thanks.
You guys have that pre-listing package that I sent you earlier?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, great.
I
Were
don't
you
know
able
if I
to
can show it.
do those
I'm gonna have
disclosures
to
like we
hold it
talked
up on
about,
there.
David?
Oh, they're not finished yet.
Finished. Okay, no problem.
Can you hear it
Here's the thing,
okay?
I'm going to take a few minutes, Vicki, like we talked about. I'm going to do a quick spin of your house. And, David, if you want to take the opportunity to take a look at those disclosures and finish them up, that way, while I'm here, I can answer any questions you have. Okay?
Yeah, that's good. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
So Vicki and David, great job on preparing your home for sale. It really looks good. And I'm excited about representing you and this house on the market for sale.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, George.
You want to follow the script, it's in your
And I
email.
can also see, David, the upgrades that you have on the house. They
Yes.
look great, huh?
Every single upgrade that the builder had to offer.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like you guys also have your keys ready to go, huh?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
You put it in the box. Yeah, we were using the box.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. Okay.
Yep.
And what is that paperwork that's there as well?
Well, I shared with you that we spoke with Bob from Zillow.
Yeah.
And, he actually had us sign a contract, but we let him know that we were holding on to it until we met with you.
Yeah, we did sign it.
Yeah, and obviously Sally, my friend.
Sure. Okay, you mind if I take a look at that real
Oh,
quick?
sure, go right ahead.
Okay, great. So, Vicki, David, I do appreciate you giving me the opportunity to present to you as well today. And as I mentioned, I did pull those report cards on the other agents that you're considering, as well as those statistics for me as well. So we'll circle back around and cover that at the end of my presentation. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
great.
All right. So in preparation for our appointment today, and Vicki, after our calls this past week, I wrote down 3 important questions for you guys. Okay.
Okay,
So number 1, do you absolutely have to sell this home?
yes.
Yeah, we do need to sell.
All right, so no renting it out or
No.
holding it for any reason?
No.
Good. Okay. And will you guys price it to sell, or you want to keep it on the market for a long period of time?
Well, we have to be in San Diego by the end of October, so obviously we want it to sell.
Yeah. But we need to be there, but we don't want to give the home away.
Okay. So
And I'm not saying that we should give it away. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that I don't want to sit it on the market forever.
Right.
Right?
Well, listen, she's a little sensitive. Last time we had a house on the market,
Yep.
it was on the market for like only 6 months.
No, that's a long time.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay. Well, here's the thing, you guys. By listing your home this week, as long as you price it competitively, and with my average days on market being just a couple weeks, normal 35 or 40-day escrow period, I'm going to have you guys in San Diego by the end of October, exactly how you've already have it
Okay,
outlined.
great.
Okay.
That's great. But George, I don't want to be in a position where I just have to take the first offer that we get.
Right. Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, David, because in this market, we actually hold offers for the first week that your home's on the market for sale. That way, anybody who wants to see it gets a chance to see it. Anybody who wants to make an offer or bid on it has ample time to do that. It just gives you the best chance to get multiple offers on your home.
I like that.
And, just also really ensures that you don't ever undersell it or be forced to take an offer within the first couple hours or first couple days.
Sure,
Okay.
that sounds great.
Okay. And then third question, you guys, do you want me to handle the sale for you?
Well, we have one more interview after you, and then obviously we would like to know what you feel our home is worth.
Right.
Then we have to talk about the commission.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Sure. Well, and we spoke about that on the phone, Vicky.
Yes.
So, I'm prepared to answer both of those questions for you. And it's just a natural part of my presentation today. So why don't we go ahead and dive in, and I'll just answer those as we get to them.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So you guys, at the end of my presentation today, one of three things is going to happen. Number one, you're going to have the opportunity to list your home with me. And I've got everything with me in order to do that. It only takes about a minute or two to get that done.
Okay.
Number two, you may decide not to list your home with me. And or number three, I may decide not to take your listing if I don't feel I can help you. Okay?
Okay,
All right.
great.
So let's quickly take a minute and discuss the questions we asked and discussed over the phone.
Okay.
So I wrote down that you're moving to.
All right, so just for the intro so far, what are you guys getting out of that? Or any takeaways just from what you heard, just in how he started off the presentation? What objections did you notice? And just anything that you picked up from the beginning of that? You may have to unmute yourself.
Nobody wants to talk. They weren't for him quite yet. They were and they have differing opinions.
Definitely differing opinions for sure between both the husband and the wife. So
Brendan.
what did you like? Go ahead, Laura. Or no, it was Leslie. Yep.
Yes, so I noticed that he's still, like he did over the phone, right? He still kind of deferred the objections towards the end of his presentation.
Perfect.
And I'm sure it's to create value first, to be able to have enough rapport with them to then be able to discuss these matters and have them feel comfortable.
No, that's spot on. Great observation. And so remember when we talked before about the listing presentation about price and commission? When do you handle that?
At the end.
And why do you handle it at the end?
Because they would have seen your ability to sell their home and what you do. By then they're smiling if you did your presentation right.
Right. No, absolutely. So one of the biggest mistakes as agents or just salespeople in general, what they do is they try to go for the sale or the close too early. You haven't created enough value. You don't have enough equity in the bank. And when you try to go too early for the listing, or you try to go too early for the sale, for getting somebody to write an offer, their objection comes up, their wall comes up. They don't trust you. And it's really hard to overcome that wall. And if you think of that book, Versatile Selling, where they talk about relationship tension, you want to get that tension down as low as you can early on in that process. And once they feel comfortable and they like you, they trust you, they're smiling, they feel like this is a good conversation, you're not pushing them into anything. Now that trust is there, now you can dig deep, truly create that value. And then when you get to the right point, that's where we ask, how do you feel about what I've shared with you so far? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being 100% confident, how confident are you that I can sell your home? And you start getting them to commit. These are closing questions. They're also temperature gauge questions, kind of feel it out. But what he did well was he acknowledged, she brought up the commission again, she brought up the price again, and he acknowledged that it's a natural part of his his presentation, and they're going to dive right into it. So he kept control of the conversation. Sound good? Do you guys remember on the intro what we do? And he kind of touches on it. It's a little bit different, but he has a good, strong introduction. What are the three things?
It's a discovery and creating value and trust.
Okay. So those are things you're going to do in the presentation, but just for
Damn
intro right out the gate. That's okay.
Is it the TAP?
It's the TAP. Good job, Amy.
Oh, damn it.
What does TAP stand for?
Think, acknowledge, promise.
Beautiful. Great job with that. Yep. So you start off, thank you for your time. Acknowledge, he acknowledged if I'm trying to remember if he talked about it, but he talks about their upgrades and their beautiful home. And then the promise is he already said he was going to list the home. He said they've already admitted that they have a signed contract. I re-listened to this earlier, so I'm hoping I'm not speaking ahead. But basically, they interviewed a Zillow agent, a Zillow Premier agent before. They had another friend that they're going to list with afterwards, and there's two different objections of how he handles it. But there's a lot of curveballs that come up in this presentation, and they're very common objections of what you can hear right now. So not all of them are going to be this difficult, but this is a pretty realistic role play, if you want to put it that way, and how it's handled with not hesitation, but confidence as you go through the process. Okay. Sound good? You guys ready to keep it going?
San Diego, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I got that you're moving to be closer to family as well as participate, Vicky, in your niece's wedding. That's got to be exciting.
Yes.
Vicky's
yes.
family is from San Diego, so we're heading back there.
Right.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm excited to help you guys move back. And now I put a big star next to this one. You had to be there by the end of October, right?
Yes. Yes. I'm in the wedding party, so I have a lot of responsibilities.
Okay.
Listen, if we need to move separately though to get more money out of the house, we can always do that,
No,
right?
Not happening. We're going together. Going
Okay.
together.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I understand the urgency, you guys. And like I say, with my average days on market being a couple weeks and a normal escrow period, as long as we price your home competitively, you guys are going to be there in San Diego together.
Good.
All right. Okay.
Now, I also wrote down that you wanted to price your home at $415,000.
Well, as you can see, our house is better than the rest of the houses in the neighborhood. It's cut above the rest.
Yeah.
And it does have every upgrade that the builder offered at the time.
Right. Yeah, and I certainly saw that, David. When
Did
I
you see
walked
that?
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Can you do me a favor? You see, I'd like you to prepare for me a feature sheet, those upgrades that the builder put in your home for you.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to extract any kind of value at all for those upgrades, we're going to definitely have to show the buyer the difference between your home and say the home down the street.
I have a list of all those things. I can get you that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, and I'll take care of that. Make sure that everybody gets a chance to see it that's in the rest of your property. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I also wrote down that you owe about $200,000. Is that?
I think so, David.
205,550
Okay.
today.
Okay. Great. Great. And any other debts that we need to pay off, you guys, when the house sells?
We did have that loan for the solar panels.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's against the title or anything like that.
Well, you guys, I'm glad that you're aware. I did pull the title report for your house before I came out today. Sure enough, there is a loan for $25,000, you guys,
Really?
against the title of your home for a solar panel company. So it sounds like you guys are aware of that, yeah?
Well, we knew that, but we didn't know that it was.
I didn't know it was against the house.
The other Bob, he did not mention that.
Neither did Sally. I shouldn't mention it either.
Well, you guys, that's pretty basic real estate right there. So I'm not quite sure how they could have missed that. But
Wow.
either way, we're going to have to pay that off at closing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
yes.
fine.
Okay.
Of course.
And I also wrote down that you guys weren't planning on selling it yourself, were you?
No.
No. Okay. And you did want all your cash out, no financing the buyer?
Yeah, I mean, it's prices in San Diego are like double.
Yeah.
They are here,
Right.
so we're going to take all the money with us.
Understood. Okay. Well, you guys, there's really only two issues then that we have to look at today. Number one is your motivation to sell the home. And number two is just simply the price that we set. Does that
Okay.
make sense? Yeah. Okay. Now, I prepared what we call a comparative market analysis. And, there's two parts to this research. All right. Part one, we call fantasy land. And, that's where homeowners list their homes and they just sit. Okay. Part two, we call reality, and that's where real estate agents list and sell homes for every single day. We're just going to have to decide this afternoon where you guys want to spend your time.
Okay.
Okay. So the purpose of the CMA is to determine the value of your home in the eyes of the buyer.
Right.
Now, do you guys know how buyers determine value?
Well, I suspect they just look around at all the houses that are available and then make an offer, right?
Yeah. You're right, David. I mean, they're comparison shopping, right?
Yeah.
This is a big ticket item. They're going to take a look at the features and benefits of your home, and then going to compare that against the features and benefits of similar homes that have either sold recently and or currently on the market. That makes sense?
Sure does, yeah.
So let's take a look at a quick example, okay? Let's just say you guys are going to go buy a car today. And let's say you got $50,000 to spend and you go out car shopping, and sure enough, you find two cars that are very similar to each other. and you're trying to decide which one to buy, they seem to be identical, except for, David, you start to look in that sticker in the window, and you notice that one of them actually has an upgraded stereo system and also some upgraded wheels. Now, in that scenario, everything else equal, which would you buy?
I see where you're going with this. You'd buy the one that has the upgrades.
Okay. And why would you say that?
This is more for the money.
Yeah, it's got more value.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's take that scenario and change it slightly. Let's say that you're walking off the lot and you haven't bought yet, and you look across the street, and the salesman that has got the plain car, he's out there changing the price to $35,000. Now, which car would you buy?
I buy the less
It's the
expensive.
cheaper one. Yeah.
Okay. And why would you say that?
Because I can get what I want with the car.
Yeah, we can update it later, maybe.
Right.
or-
You could choose whether you're going to upgrade it or not, or just pocket the difference if you
Right.
didn't want to, right?
Makes sense.
Okay, so you guys can see that simple example there illustrates that if you want to increase value in the eyes of the buyer, you either have a lower price or you have more features and benefits for the same price. Does that make sense?
Yeah, which is why our home should be worth $415,000 because we have all those updates, right?
Right.
Now, David, and now unless you guys are planning on adding any other features and benefits to the home, are you?
No.
Do we need to do that?
Well, actually, David and Vicky, your home shows really well. And that's going to make our life really easy today because you have no issue whatsoever with condition. So all we have to do is focus on today is the price we set.
Okay.
Okay. So you guys, I prepared the comparative market analysis here for you. There's one for you, David, and for you, Vicky.
Thank you.
And we're going to go through this together. I did quite a bit of research on your property before I came out today. And, I boiled it down, you guys, to what I thought were the 3 best comparables for you. Okay. We're going to focus there.
Okay.
All right. So let's look at comparable number 1. All right. Now, this home is just like yours. How many bedrooms?
3 beds,
Okay. And how many baths?
2.5 bath,
All right. And square footage?
2,500 feet. So it's a little smaller than
Yeah.
ours.
A couple hundred square feet, right?
Right.
Yeah. You guys know this house?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is just one street over.
Yeah. Yeah, we know this house.
Okay. And have you guys seen inside?
Yeah, we did. We saw it. It was nice.
It's a pretty house.
All right.
It doesn't have as many updates as we do.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're right about that. And you guys take a look at what price they just sold for.
365. Well,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, it's not comparable.
Yeah.
We have a lot more features than that house.
Well, you're right, David. And yet, features aside, the bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and obviously the location, those things are all comparable, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. All right. Now, the good news is, your house is better, you guys.
Yeah.
But
Right.
this is just like that $35,000 car. That makes
That makes
sense?
yeah, that makes
A
sense.
bit lower price in order to sell because it doesn't have as many upgrades.
Sure.
Okay. Look how long it was on the market.
Wow. 45 days.
Okay, 45 days.
No, 45 days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Vicky, that's going to make you late for the wedding.
It's going to make me very late for the
Yeah.
wedding. Yes.
You guys do need to be in San Diego by the end of October, right?
By the end of October. Yes.
All right. Well, let's take a look at comp number 2 then. This one also just like yours. How many bedrooms?
3 beds,
Okay. And how many baths?
3 baths,
Okay. And square footage?
2,900. So it's bigger than ours, a little bit.
Yep. A little bit bigger, a couple hundred square feet again. Do you guys know this house?
Yes. Over by the park.
Yeah.
It's the big one over by the park.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Have you guys seen inside?
No, never been in there.
Okay. Well, I did call this agent and found out, you guys, that it also had the full upgrade package available from the builder when it was built. Did you know that?
No,
No.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And look what price they just sold theirs for.
400.
Yeah. Now, this home is a little bit better than yours just simply because it's a little bit bigger, right? And you guys got full upgrades, they got full upgrades, but this is a couple hundred square feet bigger. You get that? Okay.
Yeah.
Look how long it was on the market, you guys.
27
days. All right.
Now, Vicky, that's better, but still going to put you a week or 2 late for the wedding. I'm assuming that that's not going to work, right?
No, that can't happen
No.
either.
All right. Well, you guys, there's good news around the corner. So let's take a look at comp 3, okay?
Okay, good.
So this one here, how many bedrooms?
3,
All right. And bathrooms?
2.75.
And square footage?
2,700, exactly the same as ours.
Yeah. In fact, this is the exact same floor plan too.
Oh,
Okay. you guys know this house?
Yeah, we do. We know this
You
one.
know this one,
Yeah, but this home does not. I know that they do not have the upgrade package that we had.
right?
Have you guys seen inside, or did you see inside when it was for sale?
I
Not
haven't.
since it's been done.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Well, I also called this agent and found out that even though, David, you're right, they didn't do the initial upgrade package, the owner was a contractor. And before he sold it, he did a complete remodel of the inside. And he took that feature sheet that the builder was using, and he took and put a lot of those same type of upgrades in the home, so that when he sold it, he could compete with homes like yours. Right? Did you know that?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So, and look what price they just sold theirs for.
385.
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
Well, Vicki, look how long it was on the market.
I like that, 13 days.
13 days.
Yeah,
Okay. Now that would put you to the wedding right on time, wouldn't it?
yes,
Yeah. And that's what we're looking for, right?
yes, that's exactly.
Okay. Well, you guys, now that you've seen these comparable sales, what price do you feel we should use to create value in the eyes of the buyer and get them to buy your home within the first couple of weeks, as opposed to the one down the street?
I see where you're going with this. You know, I appreciate all this, but I still think we should list it for 400 at least.
Okay. Well, you guys, now that you've seen these homes and prices and knowing more about your motivation to sell, I'm going to recommend a list price of $385,000. Vicki and David, will you guys list your home with me at that price today, so I can be sure to get you to San Diego by the end of October together?
Why don't we just list it for a little bit more, and we'll just see what happens.
Well, David, there's a saying in real estate, and it goes like this: you make your money in real estate when you buy, not when you sell. Now, you know what's meant by that quote?
Oh,
Yeah. It just simply means that as we sit here today, your home has a market value, okay? And that market value is made up of similar homes that have sold recently by your neighbors, as well as homes that are currently for sale by your neighbors, okay? So now we don't have any control over that. Can't manipulate that in any way. And we certainly can't force the market to give you more for this property than what it's worth, can we?
well, no.
And here's the thing, I mean, even if someone was willing to pay a few bucks more, it really wouldn't matter much if it didn't appraise, and therefore the buyer couldn't get financing, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Okay. Well, you guys, as long as we agree on price, all we need to do now is just simply sign the contract, so I can help you guys get what you want in the time you want.
George, I see,
Mhm.
but we have to talk about your commission.
Mhm.
Because, we've got a contract signed with Bob from Zillow. He's willing to do it for
Yeah, he
5%.
did the deal for 5%.
Right. And of course, Sally's my friend.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
She said she'd
She's
do
your
it for
friend.
4.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She'll do it for 4. Is that what she said?
She said 4,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's at
Yeah.
4.
Okay. Well, I understand what you're saying, and I can appreciate you're moving to San Diego and you really want to get as much as you can. David, you do want every penny out of this property, don't you?
I mean, I want to get every penny out of this house.
Got it. Okay. If I can show you a way that by listing with me, you're going to net more than either one of those other two agents you're considering, would you sign that contract tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, do you guys remember I at the beginning I mentioned that we're going to take a look at the report cards, those other two agents that you're considering, and that way you guys can make a good decision based on the stats.
Sure.
Vicki, there's a copy for you.
Thank you.
David, for you. Let's go ahead and start with Bob, okay?
Mhm.
And I pulled these statistics for the last 6 months so you could get a sense of how these other agents compare, all right? So in the last 6 months, Bob represented a total of 4 sellers in selling their home. And David, only one of those happened to be in your neighborhood here. 4, yeah. And during that same period of time, he had 2 cancellations. So, he's only batting about 50% of the people that he's working with that, are satisfied.
So
with
we
the
had
service.
4 deals and 2 of them canceled.
Correct.
Okay.
Also, too, Vicki, I think this is important. Average days on market for Bob is 68 days.
Yeah, that is not going to work.
Yeah. Okay. Average list price to sales price ratio. So what that means is how much he listed somebody's home for, and then actually how much he got for them. 98%. Okay. And last thing you need to know is his average sales price is $225.
225.
Now, what do you guys think of Bob's stats at this point?
I don't think he sells much.
I don't really understand. He was marked as a premier agent on
Yeah.
Zillow.
Well, you can clearly see that premier agent status is a bought position, not an earned one. You got that?
I didn't know that.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. Did not know that.
Yeah. Are you guys beginning to doubt a little bit that contract with Bob
Yes.
on the table?
Yes, I don't want to go with Bob.
All right, well, let's take a look at Sally. I know that she's your
Yes,
friend, but
Sally's my friend.
this is something you need to know. So last 6 months, she represented a total of 9 sellers, so a little bit better than Bob in that category. But once again, David, only 2 of them in your neighborhood. So I don't know how she could possibly know your neighborhood very well.
Yeah, I mean, this is Vicky's friend here, Sally.
All right. Well, during that same period of time, she did also have 3 cancellations. So once again, a third of the people she's working with, for whatever reason, are not happy. Okay. Average days on market, Vicky, I know this is important to you, 83 days.
She's worse than Bob.
Worse than Bob in that. And a list price to sales price ratio. So once again, how much she lists it for in comparison to what she puts in your pocket? 97%. So once again, she's worse than Bob in that
She's
category.
worse than
too.
Bob.
You're gonna have to talk to Sally, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. So what do you guys think of Sally's stats at this point?
I mean, she doesn't even sell homes in our price point, really, Vicky.
I know. I mean, I like Sally, but I need to get the home sold.
She's a friend of yours, but
I know.
Okay. Well, just to be fair, you guys, I pulled the exact same statistics for myself, so you can get a
Okay.
side-by-side
Great.
comparison here. Last 6 months represented 47 sellers on selling their home.
Wow,
Okay.
way better.
All right. And David, 9 of them right in your neighborhood.
I like that.
oh yeah,
Okay.
I do like
All
that.
right. Did have 1 cancellation during that time, you guys, and just so you know, it wasn't a customer service issue. The client had some moving plans change, and so we pulled it off, and we're just going to be putting it back on for them
Okay,
in the fall. Okay. Average days on market, Vicky, 15 days.
that is perfect.
Okay. All right. And my list to sales price ratio, David, 101%.
Over the list price is your average.
Average.
I didn't even know that was possible.
And lastly, you guys, average sales price, 400,000.
Yeah, that's right where we need to be.
Much better.
So you guys can see that by listing your home with me today, statistically, I'm going to get you 3% more than if you listed with Bob. And David, I'm going to get you 4% more than if you listed with Sally. The discount they're offering you guys does not outweigh their lack of performance, does it?
No, it really doesn't.
No.
And Vicky, I mean, in listing with either one, I mean, you'd have to postpone the wedding till January to be there on
That's no
time.
problem, is it?
That's not
a big
gonna work,
problem.
right?
That's not gonna happen.
Now you guys have seen these statistics. Who do you see as a clear choice for you to get this home sold, get you guys to San Diego when you want to be there, and put the most amount of money in your pocket?
Yeah, I think you're the right agent, George.
Right. All right. Well, go ahead and sign the contract.
Yeah, let's do.
All right, you guys there?
Yep.
We can unmute now if you guys are good.
It's strong.
Yeah. What'd you like? What was strong about it, or what were your thoughts, Anthony?
Just, I mean, he knew his stuff, his confidence, instead of, just answering their question from the beginning about commission and price, he just followed the process to build the value and kind of justify everything that he was saying from the get-go, because there was a lot of resistance against obviously the price, which was a huge objection, because the guy was like, no, like I need to be at like 400,000. And he's acknowledging it and kind of moving forward, and then kind of circling around to the other objection of the wife, who again wants to be in San Diego by October, and in a sense kind of overcomes both objections and makes himself as the clear choice, not by in a sense bashing the other agents, but just letting the stats speak for themselves so that the customers can make the decision on themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other takeaways that anybody pulled from that? I mean, was it interesting to hear it done or see it done? I don't know if any of you have ever seen a listing presentation on video before, or even a Mike Ferry style. I know there's a lot of criticism of him, and sometimes some people can feel uncomfortable even with that process and how it was done. It may not be their natural style, but what I have found is there's certain areas that are weak in my presentation, and I've been able to see the pros do it the right way. Right way meaning in my weak areas where I need to get stronger, and I think that's what's important about watching something like that, and just trying to evaluate, okay, how is my presentation and how can I improve it? Because the stronger that is, the stronger everything's going to be in terms of your success of taking listings as well as your career in real estate. So I know the first time I actually heard that actual listing presentation live on stage, and I was just blown away. To me, out of the whole 4-day retreat, that was like one of my favorite parts of it, was seeing that presentation on stage live. So it wasn't edited. They didn't have to cut it. They didn't have to replay it. That was one run through. And you can hear, if you really analyze it at certain points, he kind of hesitates a little bit. I mean, he's on the stage in front of thousands of people. There were probably 2,000 to 4,000 people in that audience, as they're all listening to him and watching him. But yeah, it's just wanted to share it with everybody so that you're at least exposed to it once. And then you can go back, watch the video, watch this video, and just the one girl I saw run with this and changed her whole business, never broke 100 and then did 270 after that. She went through and outlined that, typed up every word, every question, and then tried to think of, okay, if I were to present it, how would it be in my language? And she did that, and she kept practicing that, and her business took off. So if you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to be more confident to be able to take these listings, to look forward to when they say, yeah, come over to my house, it's mastering that. It's mastering, and it doesn't have to be exact like that. It's just got to be your style to make sure you hit on the same things, because they're going to have issue on price. They're going to want as much as they can. They don't want to pay you commission. They think that anybody can sell the house, so you have to have a confident way of going through that process. Anything
Brendan?
anybody else would like to add?
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
So
Clinton.
the benefit of that presentation was that the wife had to be somewhere by a certain amount of time. So that truly did help him in solidifying it because of the days on market from the other agents.
Right.
If you have a client in front of you and they're like, we're not in a hurry, we just want to see what we can get for the house.
Right.
Now that's a whole different objection. That's a little looser.
Right.
And it's a little bit harder to solidify something immediately. I do remember using that when we did the presentation on market analysis, right? Where the market was and where it's currently and where it's headed, right?
Yep.
Still, like, is there any other ways of like solidifying the signed contract?
Well, great question. Any answers on that before I jump into mine? And you already answered part of your own question with the market analysis, because you saw me do it at Fernwood, and you saw me talk about where the market's been, where it's at, where it's heading, right? And the unknown is where it's heading. We have an idea. We know the cycles. We know that it can't keep going up forever. So the gamble that people are going to take is, are they going to take the sure thing now? Or some people get greedy and they think that the market's going to continue to grow and they think they can get more money, or others are going to take the sure thing. Well, people in the last 2-3 years have taken the sure thing. Some of them have kicked themselves and like, man, I could have made more money if I waited another 2 years, but nobody knew. We thought the peak of the market was 2-3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you already hit your answer on part of it, and that's how you attack that. But any other answers of, if you heard her question, it was spot on, because it is a majority of the time, the seller's going to say, I'm not in any kind of rush. I got all the time in the world, because they think that's negotiation. They think if I'm not rushed, then you as a salesperson can't push me into doing something sooner than I want to do it. So that's also playing poker, keeping my cards close, right? It's a very common objection to handle. Any recommendations on how to attack it, Laura? I think you're muted.
I'm sorry, guys. I think it's my computer doing the echo.
No worries. Go ahead.
I would say interest rates. I'd say that the financing right now is phenomenal, and when it's already starting to go up, and it increases the buying power. So as soon as interest rates start going up, prices start going down.
Yep. Great point. And that is the biggest fire under somebody's butt right now, buyer or seller, to take action now, is that in the last week, rates have increased almost every single day. And not major, but starting to be major enough that lenders are getting concerned. And in one day, it affected somebody's purchasing power by, at a $900,000 purchase price, by about $250 a month is what it changed in one day. So if their payment was $2,000 a month, now it's $2,250 the next day. And then the cost roughly changed by about $2,000. So if it only cost them $2K to get it at a, let's just say 2.65 interest rate, the next day was $4,000 to get that same 2.65 interest rate. So when that happens, what happens to the buyer pool that's out here? It starts getting smaller because people that were on the cusp of barely being able to get in at 6 or 7 or 5 or whatever, and they're on the cusp. Now they were good a week or 2 weeks ago. Today they're not as good. And now they don't qualify for as much. So not everybody's on the up and up. And that's why we want to talk about these things at our meetings. But more importantly, like Leslie asked that question, that's a big one. That's a tough one to challenge. So any other answers? Because thank you, Laura, for sharing that. That was great. Anything else for urgency of why you want to do something sooner? If they don't have a wedding date or a graduation or some reason why they need to be somewhere by a specific time?
I just thought of one.
Okay, go ahead, Leslie.
Answering your own question, girl.
Yeah.
I just by going through all these questions, if your neighbor lists their home, right? That's a competition you no longer, you don't have today, but you could have tomorrow, right?
Yep.
True.
Go ahead. So any others? And that is actually one of the main points you want to hit in that situation, Leslie. Yvette, you were going to say something?
No, I had my hands up. I didn't know. I was like,
Okay. Anthony, it looked like your wheels were percolating there. So what's on your mind?
I was just going to circle around to what you said at the beginning. You know, it's like you can look at what's happened in the market in the last 6 months. You could look at what's happening now and how like we don't really know what's going to happen in the future. So it's just taking advantage of what information you have at hand and a little bit more discovery, because I find that that's a very common objection just in general when people are shopping for anything. They're like, oh, I'm not in any rush. But if you've already made the decision to sell your home, it's like, okay, you're ready to get it done.
Right.
And I think the longer it takes to sell your home, the more you kind of just start second guessing things. And I don't know, I think people just in general would rather sell their house and get it over with than just make it drag on.
Go ahead, Laura. Still got you muted.
Yeah, I was
There you
going to
go.
say, what we said earlier was lack of inventory.
Yep.
So the competition.
Yep, less competition. So you guys are spot on with that. So less competition, low interest rates are creeping up. So we can control what we know, what's in front of us today, but not tomorrow. And those are going to be the biggest things you're going to hit on. So I'm going to do it quickly. And I know, Leslie, you've heard it before in the past. So we talk about the cycle, but the key to understand is there's 2 major stages in the real estate cycle. Does everybody understand that real estate is cyclical? I'm hoping everybody understands that, okay? Whatever goes up can come down, and it's done it time and time again. Typically every 10-year increment is what we've seen in the past. 5 years of growth, 5 years of decline. This last run has been different for a lot of different reasons when we had the crash in 2008. But just so you know, in terms of timing, if you're writing this down, if you're drawing it, the very bottom of the market, does anybody know the year that the prices were at the lowest? Just
Like
guess. Go ahead and say it out there.
2009,
2009 is close. It started
2008.
crashing in 2008.
Right. Okay, so
Of the low-
2011.
2011. That is the trough. So the trough of the market, the very bottom of the market is 2011. What year are we in today?
2021. 10 years
10
later.
10 years later, right? Typically you have 5 to 7 years of growth, 5 to 7 years of decline. Are we past that 7-year mark? Absolutely. We're 3 years past it. We're 10 years of growth. So the next part of the cycle is you have growth for, it's supposed to be 5 to 7 years. We're at 10 years since the very bottom of the market in 2011. Some will say it was up to about 2013. 11 to 13 is really the bottom of the market. Then at 13, it just started shooting up. So it jumped. So 11 to 13 was still pretty low. Then 13 to now, it's shot up. Well, if you're doing the 5 to 7, we're still past that. So what has been the difference in this market has been the low interest rates. We've never seen rates this low. So that's added where affordability normally hit, and people can only afford so much in terms of their mortgage payment. Who do you know that truly can afford $4,000 to $5,000 a month in mortgage? Most people that I talk to want to keep it somewhere between as low as 2,000. Some want even lower than that, but usually about 2,500 to about 3,000 is always the magic number. And then some are willing to go up to 4,000 if they have really good income and really good jobs. 4 is usually their cap. So you got about a 2,500 to 3,500 range that a majority of buyers feel comfortable keeping their payment somewhere in there. And most will say no more than 3,000 a month, no more than 3,100 a month. So that means prices have a cap. That means interest rates also have a major impact of how much activity we have. So the reason why you're hearing 28 offers and all that is because we're hearing 2.5% interest rates. Well, those rates are now getting closer to 3%. They're at about 2.9 to 3. Okay. So the next phase after the growth, we're at the end of the growth stage, is called hyper supply. And that's where it starts going back the other route. Hyper supply means it's all the sellers are rushing to the market because we missed the peak. We missed it. So now we're trying to just offload. Now we know we're catching it on the downward trend, and it's going to happen. Does it happen this year? Possibly. We got not trying to get political, but it's changed, right? There's a lot of changes that are impacting. There's a lot of different policies that are happening on a whole level. There's a lot of money that needs to be paid. So things are going to start changing. And there's programs that are coming out that are going to start changing. So it starts changing people's attitudes towards whether they're happy where they're at or do I want to get out and cash out. That's what I'm saying. Everybody's thinking about cash out. So hyper supply is the next phase. Do you think hyper supply is good for buyers or good for sellers? Buyers.
Buyers. Yeah.
Buyers 100%. And for sellers, it's not as good because now they have more competition. So as Leslie said, in terms of urgency, if they don't have that pushing, we have to do a good job as a leader. And whether we're right or wrong isn't the point. The point is we have so much conviction and belief that we know that prices can't continue to soar the way they've soared for the last really 3 to 6 months. It's been an insane amount of growth. I mean, you've seen increases in the last 3 to 6 months in some areas over $100,000. I heard a podcast where they said in Texas, this is on Friday, just as of last Friday, homes are selling over 80 to 100,000 over asking price. There are no comps to support it. The houses are only going for like 250 in these areas. It's not Austin, Texas. This is some little small town going for 200. Now they're going for 280. So the agent, who's a top agent, he calls them and says, hey, if we come 50 over ask, are we even in discussions with the sellers? That's how they start the conversation. If they say, yeah, that'd be pretty good, then they write 50 over. They say, no, you're not even close. Then they're writing 80 to 100 over and realizing that comps aren't even going to be an issue. And who are those buyers? California, moving from California, going to Texas, going to Arizona, going to Idaho, going to Washington, going to the East Coast. So we got to find these sellers before they leave. And we got to try to help them over there. And we got to convince our sellers that everybody's thinking about it. Everybody is. So you're thinking about it. You're not the only one thinking about it. You want to make as much money as you can. You need to get it on now before the competition comes up. And it could impact you not by tens of thousands of dollars, by $50,000 to $100,000, because when there's plenty of competition, now you got to have that perfect house. So if you don't want to fix everything, so if it comes between, well, I need to fix all these things because I want this amount for my house, well, your odds are still better as is now versus fixing it 2-3 months from now and dealing with the competition. Okay. I'll just try to end it at the no. Well, go ahead, Laura. You're still muted?
Muted.
Yep.
Real quick, the one thing that I've noticed that's been different now, because I was in it before with the .com rise and the crash again, and then I've seen it up again. I've been through the cycle. I've been in for 24 years. So I've seen it. One thing that's different this time that I'm noticing now is the rental values. It's so expensive to rent a property.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have that competition before. So now if people aren't buying to rent a property, it's just about the same as paying a mortgage anymore. Before it was, you could still rent an apartment for $1,200, $1,400 a month. You know what I mean? Now they're paying a mortgage or they're renting, which is a 1-bedroom apartment at $2,500 a month. So is that making sense?
Absolutely.
I
No,
guess
that's a
I don't
great
know if I'm
point.
making any
Thank
kind
you
of
for
sense
sharing
yet.
that.
That's the only observation that I've noticed between the difference of before and now. So
That's a huge point. The other thing I would add to that too is in 2008, when the market crashed, Dodd-Frank was enacted by Congress to clean out the loans. So the buyers are much stronger now. And that's part of why the longevity of people staying in their homes is for the longer period of time. So one of the questions, and I'll just bring this up as a final point because you triggered it, and that was great, Laura, is when somebody tells me, you know what, we're going to wait a year to 3 years. We're going to wait a year to 3 years and we may rent it out for a year or a couple of years because just in case we want to come back to California, we know if we sell, we're never going to be able to come back. So we'd like to keep it, maybe rent it out for a year to 2 years. What I share with them is if you do that, you're taking a big chance, because if the market does correct in that period of time, you may not get anything for your home. You may be looking at a short sale or foreclosure. And this particular person I just spoke to the other day has very little equity to work with selling today. They owe about 600. Maybe they can get somewhere between 675 to 7 today. So less than 100 that you think you're playing with. Title, escrow, closing costs, commissions. There's not much to work with, right? And they need to do a lot of stuff to this house. It's a complete fixer property at that price point in Camarillo. So with that all being said, if they rent it out for the next couple years and that market shifts, there's a chance they lose their home. That's the number one thing. The thing I try to point out to them is unless you're willing to rent for the next cycle, which last time, so if you think of the market crashing, 2006 is when the prices were going up, 2008, then it crashed, hit about 2010, 2011. If you bought in 2006 and you're in 2021, you paid peak price in 2006. 2021, it's taken 15 years to get your value back. That's a lot of people we're going to talk to bought around 2002, 2000 to 2005, 2006. And if they bought in that time frame, they know they had to ride it out for 15 years. So the question you want to bring up to them is, are you willing to rent it out for 12 to 15 years to ride out the next cycle? They're like, no way, I don't have 12 to 15 years left to wait that long to come back to it. Which then gets back to Leslie's question, how do you put the urgency that you need to take action now and take advantage of this market? Does that make sense? Awesome, guys. Well, I'm trying to respect our time. I'm trying to keep it to our hour. We're at 11:04. Anything else anybody like to add, or was that good? Good to get the wheels going?
Very good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy.
Well, I really like that you could see where it tied together his pre-listing like phone call to his meeting, because he knew his objections that he had to handle and was able to do the research on everything and like knew who to look up and all that stuff. Like you do it well. So much of this is seeing 5 steps ahead, and I'm good at seeing like 1 or 2 steps ahead, but like to be able to plan out that far ahead and know what scenarios you need to prepare for is huge.
Right. Know the answers to the test before you take the test. Your presentation live is the test. The more info you can get ahead of time, and that's where I made the mistake, Amy, on that last situation. We should have asked more questions before the appointment, right? And if we do that, at least when they show up, they know why. They're like, wow, they already got so much out of me. Sometimes they'll say, well, why do we need to get together on that day if you already know what I'm looking for, all these details? And then you got to be good at saying, well, now I'm going to tailor it exactly to what it is that you need to know to be able to buy a home or get started in the process or whatever the case is. And that's exactly the reason why we need to have that conversation. But my promise to you is you're going to walk away having a better understanding than before we had that talk, right? So that's how you keep them to keep that appointment. But get as much info, know the answers to the test, know your objections. It's not about selling them on the phone. I think Leslie was the one to point it out. Somebody pointed it out that they're like, oh, I realized that on that initial call, I'm not trying to convince them I'm the agent. I'm just trying to get as much info as I can. I'm trying to get my foot in the door. Once I get my foot in the door, that's when I'm going to show them that I'm the right agent, right? But I got to do that face to face. I got to see their house. I got to know what I'm working with. On that phone call, it's just, if they say, I want to know what your commission is, or I want to know what price you have in mind, even though I asked them what price do they have in mind, are they going to be realistic with their pricing? Are they going to be in left field? If they're in left field, I got to really come correct. And I got to bring my A game in terms of pricing, or I got to bring my A game in terms of commission and what my competition is. And if they told me who I'm up against, you want to get to where somebody said it's not about bashing them. I think Anthony said it, not about bashing the other agents. It's about looking at the stats, letting the numbers speak for themselves, and you can just highlight where the strengths and weaknesses are. So it's letting the numbers speak for themselves. If you also listen to the presentation, he says, how many bedrooms is this? How many bathrooms is this? What price did it sell at? The agent keeps asking them. He could obviously read that off to them. Telling's repelling. Asking and then making them own the information makes it where they go through the pricing process of now seeing it through the eyes of a buyer, instead of them just being a seller who wants to make every penny they can. So that's a part of the presentation as well. I haven't done it yet, but it's an area I want to work on. It's an area that I know that I need to have them engaged more in the pricing. And we can do a whole nother session on it. When we talk about comps, we'll do a training on that and show what is effective. And typically it's 3 solds, 3 pendings. In this market, 3 actives. Other markets, you don't even show actives. You only show solds and pendings. This market, you have to do actives because that's the most recent data and you got to know what your competition is. In old markets, you want to show canceled or expireds. And the reason why you want to show those is you want to show what you don't want to do and say, look, they overpriced the property. These photos are garbage, right? It's horrible photos. They offered only 2% commission or 1.5 or 1.75% to the selling office. And you're going to highlight that. And then you're going to show the 3 successful sales that were priced well, photos look good, and the commission was right. And then it makes it very clear. You're not convincing them now. They're looking at the data. The data is speaking for itself. So, and you always got to know the top sale. Always know the top sale in the area, because you got to guarantee, you got to bet that they know it. And if you don't know the top sale, you're going to lose points. Okay. Sound good, guys and gals? Thank you. Appreciate you all hopping on. Hope it gets the wheels turning, and let's master this together. Let's work together as a team, and just thank you all for your time, and I hope it was a good session for everyone.
Loved it.
All right, guys, have a great day. We'll see
Bye.
you later. And no Think and Grow Rich this Friday. It's going to be the following Friday, just so you know. It's almost 60 pages, giving you a heads up on an
I
organized
saw
plan.
that.
It's a lot. So do the first half this week and then the second half next week.
Okay.
Be good. All right. You guys have a good one. We'll see you later. All right, bye-bye.